Okay, you guys are live.
Awesome. Well, I guess it's one of those days. Another day for the Straight Talk Report with my co-host today, Red Dog. I'm Kirk Kerr, and of course we have all the way from La Belle Province, Mr. Pat King. Welcome, Pat.
Welcome, guys. How's everybody today?
We've been doing good. We've been causing some trouble, but the more we go through this, the more it's like there's so much news that's going on, and I'm sure you're aware of it. It's hard to just stay focused on one thing.
Well, the focus being there's so much distraction around that we can't decide which one to focus on. That's the problem.
Well, I'm liking this delay that we have between the connections. It's like the old days where you hear the Of course. So for those of you who are wondering, we've got this, I don't know, it's about a 5-second delay on the connection between Pat and us. But with all these things going on, Pat, first off, I'd like to ask you a question. And that is, for the last couple of weeks, I've been hearing about some interesting shows that you've been putting on, is it your website or is it your Facebook? Where are the shows being archived?
So I've been in studio working with a media company to get a more professional feel for our interviews and a more personal one-on-one contact, basically just like how you have a Joe Rogan program, like you have a Sean Ryan program, a basic podcast setup so that it's more interactive and it gives a more detailed description for everybody while in the moment. It's not like a delay that we have right now, or there's no other, interaction where we're just one screen to another. We're discussing face-to-face, real-time, heated discussions and topics that are of current.
Yeah. Who did you just have on recently?
So we just did an interview with a gentleman by the name of Malik El-Shabazz. We were trying to get that released today. We have a little bit of a same thing, a little bit of studio issues where we're just trying to get the captions lined up and everything for some previews and some sneak peek clips. But Malik comes from a background of entrepreneurial. He's done very well for himself. He's a businessman. He's also total polar opposite of what we stand for as a Canadian. He's all for, free Palestine, figures those things should be first and foremost within our political, climate. And then he's also, he's all about anti-establishment, which is where we kind of aligned our conversations, brought those together, and we're able to, agree on some things. But when I brought up some hot topics, which were the Palestine protests, the criminal justice system, we were able to show some serious holes in it for both sides. And he wasn't aware of some of the articles that I brought up, which will be part of the episode. But there is definitely a 2-tier judicial system, and he's an ex-lawyer. So being of the background, he couldn't believe what I had experienced. And we agreed that neither one of us, no matter what side of the fence you're on, should be getting and looking at 10 years in jail for protesting.
Well, was it that diverse when you started?
Absolutely, yeah. We started out on a TikTok conversation where he was calling me a maple MAGA, and I was calling him a left-wing lunatic. And it turned out halfway through our TikTok, we kind of agreed on some things, and he realized, you know what, Pat King's not really that bad of a guy. So upon further conversation that we had, I threw him an olive branch. I said, why don't you come in and tell your side of the story on my live or on my podcast in studio, and let's get to the root of some of these issues. And we can both agree. And if the left could finally open up their eyes and see it, that we're not against each other. In fact, we're all for the same cause. We're all for anti-establishment, this government overreach. And it was good.
Okay. We'll always have this technical stuff figured out, in case you're wondering. Um, at the end of the conversation, is he getting back with you, or are you guys going to do some more stuff together?
No, I believe that'll be his first and last. He's already said. He also is very worried of the release of that podcast because he feels that his side of the fence is going to come back at him and attack him. And he figures there's going to be a severe reprimand or severe, backlash from that side of the community because people constantly told him, don't do it. Don't do it. You don't know. This guy's a monster. He's this, he's that. You won't get a word in edgewise. He's going to be all these things that lamestream media has portrayed us out to be. And then all of a sudden he's come out of it with a whole different tune. And he's realized, you know what? These guys aren't that bad. And what everybody's been saying about them, it's been bullshit. So we're slowly, inch by inch, person by person, going to swing that pendulum back to center and hopefully get everybody back on the same team and head back into it. But who's to say? Everybody can't get along. A lot of people need to learn to put their differences aside and understand that there's one root cause to every problem. And this one, well, it's a major one, and it is the government. And we all know this.
Well, if you're going to open the door to that, we might as well just jump in with 2 feet. Grant Abraham. During the municipal by-election, had a part of his forum broadcast where he was calling out Pierre Poilievre for not naming the names of the foreign interference MPs. Now, first off, did you see that particular video?
I did see that, and in fact, I was backing up Grant and getting his platform out there. I support Grant in what he's doing and how he's calling it out. I don't know the man personally, but I do know that his heart's in the right place. When he was calling out that those ministers, there's a lot more deeper, darker things that are going on in back there. You see, if you can tell that one party's compromised, that whole party is abolished. It can't be trusted anymore. So what he's trying to do, the downfall is both parties are corrupted, Liberal Party and the Conservative Party, and we know this. We've known this for decades, that these people are all bought out by lobbyists. So when Grant called him out, Pierre rolled his eyes, but he didn't roll his eyes in disgust. He rolled his eyes going, oh, shit, how do I dodge this question?
Now, that in itself is a big door, but I'll ask you the question. So if you're a member of Parliament and you have been compromised, what are you thinking should be the action of the House of Commons, of the RCMP, of the public? If these people are, I'm going to say proven, but that's not, if the evidence supports the fact that they are compromised by foreign entities,
well,
what do you suggest be the...
We've discussed several times. There's a lot of feedback, guys, so just pardon me if I got to wait till it stops. But there's an immediate investigation. All these parliamentary figures that are supposedly caught in some kind of foreign interference should automatically be pulled out of office and should be set aside and given like any other person with allegations such as that against them. RCMP should be immediately investigating, but we know the RCMP only answers to the Crown. And if the Crown tells them not to, then they don't. And that is the problem with our judicial system these days is parliamentary immunity is being utilized by every parliamentary figure by hiding under this false sense of security that they're untouchable, that they can't be accountable for what they do. But as any Canadian citizen, and once again, I'm going to go to it again, either side of the fence you're on, this is bullshit. Whether it's the Conservatives that are corrupted or the Liberals corrupted, it doesn't matter. They should all be investigated. It's something that we tried to establish many months ago, and if not years ago, was an accountability and ethics board for the federal government, for constituents that we voted into these public offices. And they should all be monitored by at least a minimum of 2 people at all times. That's constantly looking at lobbyists, looking at their financial portfolios, looking at their private financial portfolios, and always keeping on these guys. But we have a government system that runs lawless. These guys have run lawless for I don't know how long now, at least 20 years. And nobody has a say in anything. Nobody has a say in what's going on. We have this false sense of democracy in Canada, and unfortunately, it's laying the groundworks for the rest of the country. It's laying the groundworks for the future of this country. And until matters get dealt with, and people start going to court, and people start going into jail, and people start getting found accountable for these actions, if the citizen has to be accountable, then so does the members of Parliament.
Ask him how we get him back under.
Yeah, how do you fix this when the people that are supposed to lay charges and hold them accountable, like the judges, the RCMP, etc., are all corrupt? 100%.
Well, that's the golden question. I wish I had the golden answer for that. The downfall is like history is repeated in its past. When they start to erase the history, it doesn't matter. It's still what is the common recourse of humanity. And when tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes just. It's the truth. It is what it is. They can try and say that it's not going to happen. It's not. They're going to do everything they can to stop it or thwart it from happening. The peasants will rise. They always do. In any civilization, when you got governance, you're going to eventually tip the melting pot too far, and people are going to stand up, and it's going to take a few good men to do a couple bad things, and then shit gets corrected.
Like they did in Nepal today?
That was insane. I've seen that video. Actually, I just watched it. They lit their parliament buildings on fire due to a social media ban. Can you imagine that? I have, to my knowledge, that we are social media banned in Canada from a marketing executive at X, along with Facebook has been banning anything to do with Donald Trump, anything to do with the convoy, anything to do with Carney and his backdoor dealings. They're totally scrubbed. As soon as you post anything like that, you're stuck in your own echo chamber, and it doesn't get out to the masses. So we have that here. Do you think people will rise up and request the resignation of their prime minister? And if he doesn't resign, then they're going to burn down the parliament buildings? Not a chance. Canada's full of a bunch of pussies. People won't stand up anymore. People see what they did to us, and they look at us and they say, well, you know what? These guys stood up, and I don't want that to happen to them. You know what? I had that happen to me, and I do it again and again and again and again until finally something happens.
So might as well load the question up. We have a small group of people who are getting, I'll say, organized to take more steps, to be more proactive, to make more noise. You're out in the East Coast or towards the East Coast. Are the same groups setting up out there?
I have no idea. Right now, at the present, I have nothing to do with any groups. I don't care to be of any group. I don't care to have any alignment with anybody out here. I'm out here to build a life right now. I took my turn. I took my licks. I don't have any reason to be involved with anybody's nonsense out here. Until people finally realize that it's going to take all of us, then I might come back out of the retirement. But as it stands right now, I don't want anything to do with anything. People don't understand. I've always said this on my podcast for over a decade. What are you going to do when protesting doesn't work? Protesting doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody knows it. Protesting doesn't work. You're going to get all the Karens and all the Kyles that are going to step up, and they're going to say the smell of barbecue pisses them off. And now they're PTSD because they smell of barbecue. People are going to be like, you damaged my property, and I don't want anything to do with this. These people got arrested. This, and that. Nothing's going to happen until people finally realize to stop bitching between each other, stop causing dissent within the ranks, and start getting together and understand you may not like me. I don't give a shit. I'm not here to make friends. But I am here for the greater good of the rest of my country. And that's it.
That's right. Awesome, Pat.
I'm going to open that door up then. You're there for the betterment of your country. Immigration's a big issue in the press these days. Are you seeing a pathway to staying Canadian with this immigration?
For myself to stay Canadian?
No, for Canada to maintain its, I'll say, facade at this time of Tim Hortons and hockey.
It's always been a facade since the inception of 1867, right down to 1982, Canada Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It's all been a facade. People don't know this. They don't feel like they want to educate themselves. They don't want to feel like they're going to do the research and hopefully somebody else will do it for them. Well, it's true. We live in a facade that is Canada, the myth of Canada. We know this. We already gone through all the documents. We've made sure to verify every article so that there is no group that can say this is not true. It is 100% true. Each province is independent and of its own sovereignty within the nation. And each province is being dictated by the federal government because each one of these prime ministers and premiers are right up each other's arses and they're all on side with each other. They all belong to a big club and we aren't part of it.
That's what George said. So you say it's all a facade, and it brings me to a website where all this information is. The myth is Canada.
Yep.
It's all there, ladies and gentlemen. You want to learn about the myth, Canada, the myth? Go there and watch it. Watch a couple of videos. Like one, Canada, the Illusion. Watch that one first, and then watch the one about the Clarity Act.
The best part of it is I'm in the land of the original separatists. I'm in Quebec, and I'm trying to break that barrier for people across Canada because there is a stigma against people in Quebec. And I'm not saying I'm a spokesperson for the people of Quebec, but I can definitely speak on my experiences while I've been here. And while I've been here, I've met nothing but the most nicest, true blue Canadian people in the whole wide world that I have ever met. If you want to take a staple and say, what is a Canadian? You will find it in Quebec. The culture here, the love for their culture, their heritage, their festivals, their way they treat their families, the way it's every weekend the families get together and have dinners. The way they have their own foods, they have their own. It all has stemmed and built from this place, the rest of Canada. Everybody started here and moved west. And you see it in your little towns. You got K-Appel in Saskatchewan. You've got Bonnyville up in Edmonton. You've got all the French, Lac-La-Biche. You got my city called Sault Ste. Marie. But people have been taught to not like these people. I have felt nothing but welcome, love, patience. So as I learn the language here, people are helping me learn it. People are welcoming me, and it's been a whole different attitude than what we've been taught all this time. And for any Albertan that's watching this, if you don't know it, and I'm speaking from experience while I'm here, these people I think they have more pride in their province than Alberta does, but it's really close because us Albertans, we love Alberta. But you would find that we are very similar and we believe in the same beliefs. And it's the government establishment here in Quebec that is hammering down on the people of Quebec. The same way the government establishment in Ontario is hammering down on the people of Ontario. You'll find everywhere it is one problem: government. But Quebec, beautiful place, beautiful people, beautiful culture, beautiful opportunities. They say no to people that don't speak the language, and they have no problem saying it. You're not coming into our province if you can't speak our language. The rest of the country goes, oh, don't look over here. Don't see what Quebec's doing. Oh, geez, if we say you got to speak our language, oh, shit, you're a racist. You're a xenophobe. You're this and that. Quebec is going to pass a law that states that you can't pray in public. You pray in public, you're going to get charged. You're going to get put in jail. Don't look what Quebec's doing. But why is it that Quebec can get away with that? Why is that the Quebec people can speak up and control their government and get them to, follow in suit? Is because they can fight back. They can stand up. They can do it. And they've done it many, many times. It's instilled in their culture here to tell you to get lost. Why can't the rest of Canada do the same?
Have you seen that kind of thing in the rest of Canada at all?
As in, like,
standing up?
Well, I've seen little small pockets here and there. But even the government of Quebec, you cannot wear your religious head garments or your religious hijabs in any government position, any teaching position, in the education system. You're not allowed. But here we are. Everybody across Canada, I hate Quebec. Quebec hates Canada. Nope, not true. Quebec loves the rest of Canada. They're just finding that everybody in the rest of Canada, believe it or not, and I'm not saying this to be ignorant, I'm not saying this to cause problems, I'm not causing a rift of any kind, but they're like, to hell with it. We're going to take care of our own before we start taking care of the rest. And I can get behind that. I can support that because that's Canadian values to me. When Mark Carney says Muslim values are Canadian values, you know what they did here in Quebec? They lined the streets up and told these people to get off their carpets and get off the streets. You wouldn't see that in the rest of
Awesome. Good. So it should be.
I'm first off, I'm floored because that's not what we see in the media out west.
Bang we.
So would you suggest that a change in media coverage, responsibilities, accountability needs to be part of this equation?
That is an absolute no-brainer, Kirk. The
baby.
media propaganda, that is the Canadian media. You guys, anybody who, if you guys can, save your family, save your parents, save everybody you can to stop watching CBC and CTV and TVA in Quebec. They call it, you know what they call their media here? And this is a general term in the in the communities in Quebec, is
What?
TVA poubelle. So which means TVA garbage. They don't watch the news.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's a-
my
it's a
family's
really
from, my
good-
father's
it's a
from
really
Quebec.
good
My mother's from
scenario.
across the bridge.
You'd find that Quebec and Alberta are so aligned with each other. The beliefs, the accountability, the beliefs, the culture, the heritage, the staunch conservatism, the want to be left alone. It's right in aligned with Alberta, but we're being pitted against each other, guys, and we got to stop that. And to the Quebecers out there, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, Pat, part of this is kind of eye-opening in terms of the conversations that we're having just here on air. The other media people who are running independent, much like you are, like we are on our own side, are you finding a common ground, or is it still unique to have somebody trying to stay honest to themselves? True, that's the word. True.
In
to
the
actually
media
providing service.
and people in media, is that what you're asking, Kirk?
Yeah, our media.
I don't find any of these journalists honest. I don't find any of these journalists trying to tell the truth. I've had journalists, many journalists, look at me and say, I'm going to tell the story just the way it needs to be, and then go ahead and do an absolute hit piece on me. So I don't think if they are, they're fired immediately. And we've seen that instance happen with CBC when the whistleblower came out. And I've been trying to get him on my podcast, and actually he won't even come on my podcast because most people are afraid of the backlash if you sat down on a chair across from me.
Okay, I'll push it to the social media side. We're a group of podcasters and streamers, but there's obviously many of us now. They're coming out of the woodwork. Are you finding them most with integrity?
I
Or
do.
are you-
I do find the guys that are doing this because it takes, and you guys know this just as much as I do. I was one of the first ones in Canada to start speaking up 10 years ago. I was one of the first ones to start bringing out messages like this. It takes a lot of balls to put your face out here on camera, to stand in your conviction, and to stand up for what you believe in. It takes a lot of backlash. It takes a lot of heat, I guess, from the law enforcement when they're coming at you with the Facebook police at your door, knocking on your door and stuff. We've anybody who does this has come into this with some level of integrity and some level of honesty when they do these kind of shows. You're putting yourself out there, you're putting your life out there, and everybody and their brother has a Google button, and everybody and their look at my Wikipedia page. We're in the process right now of trying to catch the person's account who's defaming me on the Wikipedia page. But anybody and their brother can go out there and smear the shit out of you. They can make it anything they want to muddy the waters for your voice. The thing that we have is we have tenacity and we have drive. We also have, a very good tough skin. to do what we're doing. We have to. And I think with that, you become seasoned and that's your character. That's who you are. You tell the truth. You tell the stuff, you get the information out there, whatever it is. Because the media isn't going to tell you the true story. So I think anybody who's doing podcasts and stuff like that, I think they do come with a level of integrity. And I hope. I haven't met a bad one yet. So, well, then there is you and Red Dog. So we don't know yet. We're still out on the fence.
Not even going to get started.
Don't
One
get us
day,
started.
just ask Red about the pocket aces. Just one day. So listen, Pat, I'm going to kind of push you a little bit more. So we're doing our thing. We're actually hoping to gather some more media people onto our platform as just a central point to share information.
Okay.
But many of us are going up against, I'm going to call it the police, but it's more the judicial system. Have you got much experience in dealing with the judicial system regarding social media communications?
Not necessarily, other than being hindered and being conditions stating that I'm not allowed to use social media, even though it's been established that social media is a form of freedom of speech, and that becomes a direct violation of your freedom of speech when they hinder your social media. You see, when freedom of speech was brought up, we all knew we could just talk and say whatever we wanted. But now on social media, they've made social media charters. So if you go to Facebook Canada, you'll find that Justin Trudeau in 2019 signed what's called a social media charter with Facebook on what they're allowed to say and what they can't say. And if you're not familiar with Bill C-63, they also manipulated the law where it stated in the 1950s that it was a law in Canada that you couldn't lie on a news broadcast, but Bill C-63 was manipulated to allow to pull that and amend that part out. Yeah. So now media can lie to you. So.
Okay, well, I'm going to open the door. I told Red before the show, I said, yeah, I'm going to hit Pat. He's going to love this. Deep sarcasm. So what do you think of Bill C-2, it's in your mind hate crime?
Bill C-2, that's the one where the online hate crime is?
Yeah. Well, it's the one where if you think about it, you can be charged.
Okay, so that hasn't been put to task yet. That's been something that's on the table, but it has not been passed. But yes, it has a lot of severe punishments inside it. If you've read the amendments and if you've read it, you'll notice that there is a lot of severe possibilities that they could utilize and manipulate to their advantage for sure. But it has not been tabled.
So, I thought it had. But for our viewers who are just catching up, Bill C-2 has this interesting component that says, if I think you might be thinking about doing a hate crime, I can bring it before a judicial office, which could be a bureaucrat, just so you know, and file a complaint that you might be thinking about doing a hate crime.
And they come and arrest you.
In which case they come, they can charge you, arrest you.
Yeah.
And the bureaucrat who's sitting behind, now they call him the judge or I guess they call him a judge, but he's not a crown appointed.
It's not Bill C-2, it's Bill C-63 actually. I just Googled it. Bill C-2 is the border officially titled an act. That one is
the money?
Canada's border security.
Is C-2 the money?
Bill C-63, also known Bill C-63 is the Online Harms Act.
Okay.
Okay, so in the Bill C-63 Online Harms Act is the bill is aimed to regulate.
You're thinking something bad.
Yeah, I'll read it. I'll read it to you right now. The bill aimed to regulate 7 types of harmful content, including content that sexually exploits children, non-consensual sharing of intimate images, bullying of children, content, those kind of things. But there is underlying stating that if you do think it and you think somebody is an extremist and you feel that way, you can use this law to have them arrested. There's more inside it. I'd have to dig in a lot deeper, but it's It's the online bullying. So if you think people such as ourselves don't agree with you, and we don't agree with what your opinions are, and you find it as bullying, then they can use that law saying you bullied these people online. And that's all in their perception. 99% is their perception of how, and that's how they can manipulate the bill.
That's right.
I'm not going to say je le bull, but I'm thinking that. So C2 is the money transfer. That's the digital currency, I think. Then if that's
Bill C2 was the borders. I just had it up. But but Bill C63 Online Harms Act, it's dead. It's moot. It's gone, and it's even
they
right
fired
there.
it.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
done. It's not happening.
Okay, so all of these things are coming out, whether they're current, old, new. How is the public supposed to stay aware and up to speed on all these acts and their possible implications so they can actually get hold of their member of the Legislative Assembly or their member of Parliament to oppose?
So we trust the constituents we're supposed to be putting in place when we vote for them, correct? And we figure that these guys are going to hold some kind of level of couth or some kind of level of integrity and honesty. But we've learned this with what's called the little child case, that any member of parliament can go onto a platform and lobby and campaign on anything they want. But a second they walk into parliament office and they sign on the dotted line that they are part of the member of the Conservative Party or part of the member of the Liberal Party or NDP, they now have to toe the party line. So no matter what, if inside they don't agree with it, they will still have to toe the party line. You have the odd one that ends up stepping out and saying, I'm not going to vote for this. Like, let's take, for instance, Bill C4. Bill C4 was kicking the parents out of the schools. And I call it that one because it's basically what it did. It allows the education system to supersede the parents' obligation or right to know what their child is doing within the schools. So you have several members of parliament that voted against it. They were then kicked out of the party. But then what do you have? You have Mr. Pierre Poilievre, who jumped right on board and signed it. And I think that's disgusting. I think that Pierre, when he signed that, he basically he dug his own grave on that one with me. I will not agree to that. Parents have every right to know what their kids are doing in school, and parents have every right to know if their teachers are trying to allow them to go through gender affirming, and I hate that term. I call it mutilation more, but they're allowing parents and teachers to give the kids the safe space so that if they feel like that, they can basically oust the parents out of it. And Pierre Poilievre signed right on that. Can't hear you. I lost audio.
So
there
Sean
you
will
are.
try and get that covered.
I got you.
The end of the day, our viewers need to be aware. This is the Conservatives supporting another Liberal NDP direction. So maybe you need to look at what that big C represents to you, because it's not what it did to me when I was younger. They changed dramatically.
They pandered to the left too much. The same with Pierre's campaign. So when I was watching when Pierre was campaigning and all of this, he was pandering to the left. He was looking for that minimal 5%, 10% liberal NDP voters that he could try and reach. Pierre needed to turn his whole campaign around and start talking to the 10 million friggin' Canadians that don't vote.
That's right.
And reach out to those people. And you might have had a chance. There's a reason we have the most lowest voter turnout in all of the G7. And that's because people don't give a shit about the politics anymore. They know everybody's corrupted, both left and right. We've known this for a while. We've tried to tell people this. We have solutions that we tried to do 8 years ago with constitutional conventions and try to bring forth the awareness with, we need to rewrite a constitution for Canadians. You have a think tank group right now that's attempting to try and rewrite the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and get Section 1 and Section 33 of the Charter abolished. That'll never happen. It's the blind leading the blind. The only way you can do it is reestablishing your foundation and reestablishing your governance. And that's going to take what I mentioned earlier. And people just ain't going to do it.
Pat, I love the fact that you are so passive. Is this the older, wiser Pat?
Oh, this is the more seasoned Pat. This is the more understanding Pat. Before, I was speaking to a demographic of people who had no clue what was going on. So, of course, you had to get a little bit more spicy. You had to get a little bit more attitude, a little bit more aggressive to try and wake up the sleeping giant. We had to get out there to people. We had to make it known. We had to sacrifice ourselves. We had to show people that, hey, you're going to get arrested if you do this. Guess what? Hi, that was me. You know, we sacrificed ourselves to prove it to people. When are people going to finally realize, hey, you know what? Hey, that was kind of onto something. I had to show people.
You know what I would do, Pat? If I had anything to do with it, I would have every member of parliament, like Pierre Poilievre, when they're working 9 to 5, even 9 to 9, whatever it is, 9 to 5. Let's say 9 to 5. You got a camera
They start
on.
at 10 o'clock and they're done at 4 o'clock. They work bankers hours and they have
Okay,
Fridays
so 10
off.
to 4. 10 to 4, they got a camera on them full time. Wherever they go, whatever they do, whatever they say, there's a freaking camera on. Okay? And the people can listen. Another fail safe I've got, I said this 2-3 years ago. People say, oh, that's digital monitoring. We can't do that. Everybody that's at voting age, 18 years plus, has a phone. 99.999% of everybody in Canada has a phone at 12 years old, for crying out loud. Now, when the government wants to send $400 billion overseas for, let's say 43 billion for anything, okay? I'm not going to say anything because I might get shit for it, but for anything.
What are you scared of?
You ask the people, okay, we're going to send 400 or 43 billion over to Ukraine for what's it called, DEI programs or something like that. What do you think? Now, the people that have the app on their phones, which they should have all have the apps. You don't like that idea?
No,
Well,
I'd be like,
I
no.
agree. I agree. But so if 60,000 people say yes, it's a good idea, and 60,001 person say no, it's a freaking no. Period. You don't get 100 extra votes because you're the government.
I agree.
You don't get to do that. I think that's a good idea. Then the people have it's complete transparency, 100%. And the video following everybody around every day, all day. You can't cheat, lie, and thieve if you got a camera on you when you're sitting at a dinner luncheon and you're normally pushing $100 billion or $100 million deal where you're going to get $50 million back in kickbacks because you're on camera.
Well, everybody loves a reality TV show. Why not put our government on a reality TV show?
Yeah, let's do it.
I know who I'm voting off the island.
Our whole society has been in the last 30 years based off reality TV. Everybody, even people that we know that are in our friends groups, they'll be the best friend to your face, but right behind your back, they'll be the most two-faced sons of bitches you'll ever meet. And that is our society. Everybody is based off lying, cheating, and stealing, but being your best friend in your face. So why not turn the reality back on them? Now let's show that the government, the reality show that is them. I have agreements of that. I would absolutely. But when it comes to phones can be manipulated. These guys invented the phone, so therefore they know how to manipulate the phones. I don't agree with that. But what I do agree on is if you want to account, let's go this way. If you want to allocate funds to go and help some foreign war, first and foremost, what am I getting out of it? What is my ROE? What is my return on investment? What am I getting back for that money? 2, who's involved, and are there any ties to any kind of, like black markets, concealing of human trafficking, anything like that? Absolutely not. You're not going to get it. But what it would do is I would send it across to all cities. Everybody has to go in and vote on it personally in a voting chamber, however you wanted to do it. But it would take months for that money to be allocated. It's not going to be happening just with a flip of a switch. It's going to go to each constituents, and each person is going to come back. And when you got a certain amount of time to get the votes back in order to find out if you're going to do that. And I'll guarantee you, if everybody had that opportunity to dictate and, have an opportunity to say where our money is being allocated, I guarantee you there'd be no more wars. There'd be no money for them.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, every war, I can't say every war, but I'm going to say 95% of, maybe 100% of every war. It's not about freedom. It's not about anybody's freedom. It's about raping and pillaging another country for minerals, water, oil, gas, gold, and silver, ports. It's always been about that. But the propaganda machine gets
money in
turned
it,
on,
though.
and that's the end of it, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway.
Well, we'll go through a couple things, and I think first off, Pat, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Your being busy and occupied for a period of time after the convoy made it a little inconvenient for us to participate in these lengthy conversations.
Yep.
But we did find occasionally that you had a thought or an opinion on a topic. I'll ask you
I have
2
lots.
questions.
Lots
We'll
of
wrap up today if you're good. Immigration. In Canada right now, we seem to have a surplus. How do we get the numbers right?
Well, first and foremost, you shut the borders down. No more immigration until we deal with the problems that are here at home. Then we put out, and I don't care if everybody's going to hate me. I don't give a shit about this either. Then you set up a friggin' task force that goes and hunts down every one of these guys that are in here illegally, whose visas have expired, who are running from the law, who aren't going to turn themselves in to be deported back home. And you go out and you start hunting them. And I'm going to call it just like that, hunting. We need Dog the Bounty Hunter. We need Jesse James. We need Wyatt Earp. We need all of them. Bring in the marshals. Start going through and start getting these people and get them out. And then once we got them out, we'll reestablish our immigration rules back to where they should have been, where we're handpicking and selecting the ones that are needed. If we need a doctor who's a neuroscientist, I'm going to the countries where they are, and I'm going to make sure that I request that that's the top grade, highest caliber, highest educated person that's coming to my country to come and work in the field that we are looking for him to come and work in. When we look at what's going on right now, I've got video after video of listening to people more hands down. I've been approached already, and this is no joke. I have been approached by gangs in Pakistan that are asking me if I will take somebody from Pakistan for $10,000. They'll pay me $10,000 to send a guy here if I can get him a business visa to work here in Canada. They asked me personally, and he'll send me 5, 10 people. I want to make a quick $100,000. Give them business visas to come over to Canada if I sponsor them. They'll pay me $10,000 per person. Now, you tell me right now, do you think there's business owners out there that are taking full advantage of that? Good question. I know the answer. You know what's happening.
I'll just add to your comment. Apparently, and we have some information that supports it, if you go onto a number of the employment websites, you'll find ads that are there that suggest that the pay for a particular job would be very high, but it's intended for foreign applications only.
Absolutely, because you know why? Each individual under the LMI program will get, each individual employer, I believe it's the LMI, I got to remember the name of it. Anyways, the program, each employer gets a 75% kickback. So not on top of it, they're getting money from these gangs from Pakistan. They're getting monies from these gangs from India to bring these people over here. So they're making a cool, quick $100,000 cash, boom, on 10 people. Okay. Now what you got is you got a government establishment that is okaying it because we're on the Century Initiative to try and populate Canada over 100 million people by 2100. And we're also a part of another thing that's another big nefarious program called the United Nations Agenda 2030 UN Migrant Compact that even Mr. Stephen Harper signed us on to. So for anybody out there, like, this is what I'm saying. So now you've got this influx of these guys coming in. Business owners are going, I need to make maximum profit. We got a government that's hindering every resource, every industry across this nation for the last 10 years. So businesses aren't doing very well. So what are they doing? They're trying to cut costs. They're trying to cut overhead. Well, wait a minute. Well, doesn't the government create a problem? And now they got the solution. We're going to pay 75% of these workers' wages while you're only accountable for 25%. There you go. You're making your profit back. Fucking no-brainer.
I love how that makes our young people so employable. Second and final question, Danielle Smith.
Well,
So,
Danielle, what? Go. You ask.
Oh, this is an easy one. It came out yesterday, I believe, that Alberta's so far ahead in the employment stats. Alberta itself, Calgary and Edmonton are running top of the entire country.
Well, that's a no-brainer.
Do
We
you
have people who want to work in Alberta.
do you find that there are jobs available out where you are?
Absolutely. Yep. There's lots of jobs. But they won't hire these LMI program guys here. Imagine that, huh?
Awesome.
If you walk in, I'll tell you this, you walk into a Tim Hortons here and all I see is young kids. I walk into a McDonald's, all I see is young kids working. I see it here in Quebec. I see it, guys. I'm not kidding. The jobs that our young kids and our youth used to work at when they would go work at fast food restaurants, flipping burgers and stuff like that, here in Quebec, you will not see that. And I am not being racist. I am not pulling the wool over your eyes. I am not bullshitting you. 100%. It is not Sing Hortons here.
You're saying young white kids?
I'm definitely saying that. Well, black kids
Wow.
do. Young kids.
That's not the case here in Alberta.
Of course not. Because you've got Danielle Smith and her little henchmen allowing these programs to be pushed in. You also had Mayor Sohi turn Edmonton into a sanctuary city and allow all of these people in. So you've got a lot of hands in the cookie jar there.
Well, Pat, I want to say thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
Fingers crossed you'll come back and join us again.
100%. We'll get this echo fixed out next time.
Yeah, we'll fix it. Don't worry, buddy. Love you, brother.
betcha. Okay, man.
That was Pat King. Ladies and
That's
gentlemen,
the Pat King.
that's but he sits at that end of the table.
The real Pat King.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for joining us today. You want to follow us along, please do. Like, share, follow, all of those catchphrases. You want to support us, right on the Contact Us link on hhgradio.com. There's all the methods you can support us with. But one of the things that you can really do is you can, when you're following our page, share our stuff out and make comments. You agree, you don't agree. We want to hear from you because we are establishing a new media, a new style of presenting information and giving people who normally don't have a voice that opportunity.
And we need more news. Bring us some stuff. When you see something, videotape it. Stop your car, videotape it. Doesn't matter what it is. If you're on a nature walk and there's a mama bear with 6 cubs, videotape it. Send it to us. Let's get it on the air. And if you're at a meeting somewhere, at a town hall, you want to talk about what's going on at the town hall, what they're talking about, bring it to us. Let's have a talk about it. The media has to get out. The truth has to get out. We can't be listening to these lying parasites all the time anymore. This is, it's unacceptable. And I'm done with it. I want to preach the truth. Kirk wants to preach the truth. And we want to straight talk, baby.
And that's what you were listening to. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of Straight Talk Report.
Yeah.
Well, I'm used to the echo now.
That's all right.
That's the end of the Straight Talk Report for tonight. From Kirk.
And Red Dog.
Good night. Till next time.
Peace out. See you guys.